Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my videos. On this video tonight, there's a few things to negotiate about. So, Manchester United could consider a loan for Gareth Bale, and that is stemming from Sky Sports. James Cooper, who tends to be very close to Man United, he has said Man United are looking at Gareth Bale as an alternative to Jadon Sancho. But Gareth Bale actually prefers to leave Real Madrid permanently rather than going out on loan. Now, Gareth Bale is on around £600,000 a week at Real Madrid, so you can say his wages are a stumbling block. It has recently said that Gareth Bale could be available for just 18.5 million. Man United have been linked with Gareth Bale for several years. I think we've been in for him since like the David Moyes era. There's obviously been talks about him, reuniting with Tottenham. But I think he did recently say that he is interested in making a return to the Premier League. Gareth Bale is well Premier League proven because don't forget he did endure 6 years with Tottenham before he went to Real Madrid. And it's also fueled more speculation up because Bale has been training away from the Real Madrid first team squad. And I think Bale's recently had negotiations with Zinedine Zidane regarding his future. Now, Bale has endured 7 seasons with Real Madrid. He's obviously won a total of 13 major honours. Real Madrid did pay £85 million for him from Tottenham back in 2013. I think then it was actually a record signing. Bale is still under contract at Real Madrid until 2022. Don't forget, Bale was very close to joining the Chinese Super League. Well, I think it was last summer. He was offered £1 million a week to play in the Chinese Super League, but his move obviously never materialised. It also mentioned that an unnamed club had put an £89 million bid in for him. The element of concern about Gareth Bale is that he is injury prone. And I think he's just recently recovering from a knee injury. Bale is 31 years of age. He can play on the left. He can also play on the right. And when he was younger, he was predominantly a left back. He was a left back when he was at Southampton. That's where he began his footballing career. Would you take Gareth Bale at Manchester United? I'd probably prefer to get him on loan rather than get him permanently. But one thing I do know, he's a much cheaper solution than Jadon Sancho. Now, that's the news on Gareth Bale. You obviously know the news on Jadon Sancho. Obviously now he's moved to Manchester United. He's looking very, very unlikely. This is why obviously now we're in for Gareth Bale. Lucien Favre, the Borussia Dortmund boss, he has said that Sancho will stay at Borussia Dortmund because Lucien Favre has said that Dortmund need Jadon Sancho. And I did say, didn't I, Jadon Sancho's transfer to Manchester United won't happen unless Borussia Dortmund reduce their asking price. Borussia Dortmund are not going to reduce their asking price because, they do remain ruthless over their valuation. Borussia Dortmund's valuation is around £108 million. But I've said, haven't I, throughout the course of this Jadon Sancho transfer saga, it has been Borussia Dortmund's asking price that has been the stumbling block. Fabrizio Romano did recently say, though, that the personal terms, the agent fees, and a contract worth 250 grand a week had been agreed. And it also got revealed that Man United had submitted a £90 million bid, with a further 18 million due in performance-related add-ons, and it said this would be paid in instalments over the course of the next 2 to 3 seasons. So I don't think we're going to sign him now in this summer transfer window. Obviously, Sancho has held several talks with Solsjaer, and reportedly Sancho's told Solsjaer that he wants to play for the club, and we was very confident that we would sign him by the time we play Crystal Palace. But don't forget, it said around 4 weeks ago, which was obviously last month, it came out saying that Man United had agreed personal terms with Sancho, and it said he was set to sign a 5-year deal with the club. But just after that got reported out, it said that talks had broken down due to Borussia Dortmund's asking price. But I doubted Sancho coming to Manchester United when we missed out on Borussia Dortmund's deadline, because Dortmund said to us that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. Obviously, we missed out on that deadline, so Sancho decided to go on pre-season. It mentioned a few weeks ago that we'd abandoned our chase for the player until the summer of 2021, which is obviously next summer. But it also mentioned we won't give up on the signing of Sancho unless he publicly says that he wants to remain at Borussia Dortmund. Sancho's, as he missed training recently with Dortmund, he did make an admission, by the way, saying that he's sometimes late for Dortmund training because of his sleeping disorders. But I'm disappointed that we're not going to get Sancho in, because I've outlined the reasons why I wanted Manchester United to sign him. Is because obviously he's got a very good friendship with Rashford. He's predominantly a right winger, and Man United need a right winger, and plus he's still very, very young, and I think he would have exceeded expectations in the Premier League. You know, I think since his arrival in Germany, he has been a revelation. Obviously, he's enjoyed 3 years with Borussia Dortmund. I think his stats were very, very good last season. He scored 17 goals and provided 17 assists. Dortmund paid £8 million him from Man City back in 2017. He's still under contract with Dortmund until 2022. Don't forget, we was going to give him the number 7, because we know that he'd full number 7 well, and obviously Man United have got number 7 vacant at the moment, but we have had a lot of good number 7s up and down the generations. But Borussia Dortmund was saying anyway a few weeks ago that they're very convinced that Sancho will remain loyal to them at least for another season. I've always said that Sancho is an exceptional player, and I think he's worth from between 70 to 80 million at the tops, but he's certainly not worth what Dortmund are demanding. Mike Phelan, who was our assistant, he recently fueled speculation up saying that Man United could be closing in on the signing of Jadon Sancho, because he's recently been following him on Instagram. Don't forget, there were stories emerging out back in February, which was early on this year, saying that everything had been agreed with Sancho apart from the actual fee. But like I've said, Dortmund have let quite a few of their big names go in recent years. They did let Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang go, Ilkay Gundogan, Christian Pulisic, Mkhitaryan, Shinji Kagawa at one point, Robert Lewandowski, Ousmane Dembele, Matt Hummels. So they've let quite a few big names go. And we've already missed out on a couple of players under Solskjaer. We missed out on Erling Haaland, and we also missed out on Jude Bellingham. But it wasn't so long ago, Sky Sports had said that we had breakthrough in negotiations to sign Sancho. But Solskjaer has been very, very infuriated over the Jadon Sancho deal, because this saga has now gone on for so long. He's been our number one priority target for a while, and we have been in for the player for like the last 3 years. So that is news on him. But we've also been looking at other alternatives to Sancho, not only Gareth Bale. We've recently been looking at Douglas Costa from Juventus, and we've also been looking at João Felix from Atletico Madrid. There's other alternatives before. We've looked at Kingsley Coman from Bayern Munich, Rabbi Matondo from Schalke, Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. We've obviously looked at David Brooks. I think we inquired about getting him a few weeks ago. Earlier on today, I give you the breaking news on Sergio Reguilón from Real Madrid. This is very positive news from a Manchester United perspective. Fabrizio Romano came out and said that Man United are considering making a move for Reguilon, and we are preparing to submit our first offer for the player. I think we are planning to put around a £23 million bid in. The stumbling block is we're not willing to meet Real Madrid's valuation, because I think Real Madrid have said that they want around €30 million, which equates to just over 27 million in pounds sterling. And also, the other stumbling block is Real Madrid want to include a buyback clause in any deal. And I don't think Man United will accept any buyback clause in the deal. But Fabrizio Romano said that Reguilon wants to come to Manchester United. It did actually recently say that Reguilon had rejected a move to Man United because he does want to make a return to Sevilla. He was on loan with Sevilla last season, was Reguilon. I think he played around 38 games in all competitions. And he also had a few other loan spells with the Logrones, but he has been at Real Madrid for several years. He joined their youth set up in 2005, so he's been there around 15 years, hasn't he? Reguilon will leave because obviously Zinedine Zidane prefers Ferland, Mendy and Marcelo ahead of Reguilon. But Reguilon's still got a contract with Madrid till 2023, and he is only the age of 23. And I've said, it's very beneficial that Manchester United do get a left-back in. We have got two predominant left-backs in the team at the moment, and that's obviously Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams. Alex Telles, he's also another left-back on our agenda. Now, what players will Manchester United sell in this summer transfer window? Now, Solsjaer's got to decide on this, obviously. I think one of the players we're looking to get rid of is Jesse Lingard. Despite Solskjaer not so long ago that he wants Jesse Lingard to stay at the club, because obviously Jesse Lingard has been part of the club for several years. Lingard's just got under a year left on his Man United contract, but the club do have an option to extend it for the further year. I think we'd probably demand around £30 million for him. Andres Pereira, there's United fans saying that, we should get rid of him because obviously he doesn't get in the team enough now, and I think he's very inconsistent. Is Andres Pereira. I think we got him from PSV, was it, back in 2012, and he's been in our senior squad since 2014. I know Pereira's got a contract with us until 2023. Chris Smalling, we're looking to obviously get rid of him. I heard that Chris Smalling was close to leaving Man United because Di Marzio recently said that he'd agreed to personal terms with Roma. I think we've said we want around £18 million for Chris Smalling. Roma haven't been willing to meet this valuation. Smalling was out on loan with Roma last season, and I thought he was absolutely exceptional. And Solskjaer did reveal that he was in regular contact with Smalling whilst he was out on loan with Roma. And he still insists that Smalling does have a future at Man United. He said this during our Europa League campaign. Smalling's enjoyed around 9-10 years at Manchester United. He has been with us since the Ferguson era. There's some Manchester United fans that think he's better than Victor Lindelof. So there you go. Marcus Rojo, he's another player we're looking to sell. And I think Solskjaer will sell him, despite recently Solskjaer being impressed with the double training sessions he did. Rojo was out on loan with Estudiantes last season. I couldn't really have a perception because I didn't really watch him at Estudiantes, but there's no point in him being here because he won't get in the team. We got Rojo in 2014 from Sporting Lisbon. We paid around £16 million for him. Made around 122 appearances for the club in all competitions so far. And his contract with us, his current one, expires next year. Phil Jones, I think we'll sell him. Phil Jones obviously doesn't get in the team now. Phil Jones was injured not too long ago. He sustained a few injuries as a Man United player. Phil Jones enjoyed 9 years at the club. He has been with us since the Alex Ferguson era. We'd probably demand around 10 to 12 million for Phil Jones. Obviously, I think Diego Dalot will end up leaving the football club because Diego Dalot's made it clear that he's not happy at Manchester United because obviously of the lack of game time, and he just basically wants to leave. But he recently said that Solskjaer's refusing to let him go. Now, Barcelona and PSG have been in for him before. Before Everton were in for him and they were convinced that they could get him for around £10 million. I think we want around 20 million or something like that to let Dalot go. We got Dalot in Jose Mourinho's final transfer window. We paid £19 million in from Porto. Dalot has still got a contract of us till 2023. The first part of last season, he had back-to-back injuries. And I think he only made 1 or 2 starts in the Premier League last season, but he is our backup right back to Wan-Bissaka. Like I said to you as well, I think we'll get rid of Sergio Romero because obviously Sergio Romero is not going to want to stay at Man United when he is third choice goalkeeper, because he is third choice goalkeeper now as it stands because Dean Henderson has just recently come back. Now, Romero has endured 5 years with Man United. Obviously, we got him on a free from San Pandora back in 2015. Romero's just got under a year left on his Man United contract, but the club do have an option to extend it for the further year. Last time I read up about Romero, the Athletic said that Villa had agreed a fee of around 8 million with Man United to get Romero. It says Chelsea, we're trying to get him, Leeds have obviously been in for him. Everton have been interested in him. I think also too West Ham have been interested in him. I think he played in all our cup games last season prior to the semi-finals, Romero. So yeah, I think, these are the players that Manchester United are looking to get rid of. But it's around 3 weeks now until the summer transfer window shuts. And we've got quite a lot to do within this 3 weeks. Obviously, we've got to make more signings. Like I said, we've got to get rid of more of the deadwood. And how we're going to do this within the next 3 weeks. Now, so far, Manchester United have only made 1 signing in this summer transfer window. And that's obviously Donny van de Beek. We got Donny van de Beek in a deal worth £40 million. I think we paid just over 34 million up front with like 4.4 million in add-ons. Donny van de Beek signed a 5-year contract with Man United. That keeps him with us until 2025, and there's also an option of a further year. And we know that he wears the number 34 shirt, and Donny van de Beek will be making his debut for the club. Well, his Premier League debut for the club against Crystal Palace on Saturday. I think we are thinking about putting Paul Pogba out of position so we can get Donny van de Beek in there. But Solskjaer is happy with the signing, but he made it clear he wants 3 more signings after Donny van de Beek. Because these teams around us that are recruiting very, very well. Chelsea by far, they've done the best business. They've obviously made, is it a good 6-7 signings? They brought obviously Ziyech in February. They brought Timo Werner in from Leipzig. They brought Ben Chilwell in, Kai Havertz, Thiago Silva, Milan Sarr, Mendy. Now, obviously, they're trying to get Declan Rice. I think Chelsea obviously want a goalkeeper to replace Kepa Arrizabalaga. So there could be another shout for this season. Liverpool, they've only made 1 signing so far, and that was to Sigmas. City, they obviously signed Nathan Ake and Ferran Torres. Arsenal, they obviously got Gabriel Magalhaes and Willian on a free. Tottenham, they've also made some good signings. They got Holberg, Joe Hart, Kyle Walker-Peters, I think, and they got Doherty in. Leeds, they've also made some good signings. Obviously, they got Helter Costa, they got Rodrigo, they got Cork, they got Harrison. They brought a few young players in as well. Everton have made some good signings. I think James Rodriguez is a very good signing for them. I heard that Newcastle recently signed Callum Wilson from Bournemouth. So this is also what we've got to be aware about. But I think Solskjaer's totally blameless in all of this. Obviously, he's trying to get the players that Manchester United want in. But I just think he's not getting back to enough in this summer transfer window, and I feel as though he deserves more backing. Woodward has said quite a few times that he's determined to back Solskjaer, and the Glazers have said quite a few times that they are determined to back Solskjaer. But Solskjaer recently said that he's been very, very frustrated with the board, obviously over the lack of transfer business in this summer transfer window. We've been critical of the board anyway for several years, reflecting on how poor our recruitment policy's been. And obviously, we've overpaid for players and that, and obviously the managers that we've had since Ferguson left haven't been backed enough. And I think we've made a lot of mistakes in the last 7 years. But Solskjaer has publicly admitted that Manchester United have got to spend money in this summer transfer window. So I feel as though that he is progressing as Manchester United manager. Obviously, since like the Jose Mourinho way, we've been in the process of trying to get a director of footballing. And I said, that at the time, that's one of the structural changes that we need at the club. I said if we were to get a director of footballing, no, we need someone who knows the club well, someone who's got that experience, and someone with the correct philosophy if we are to get a director of footballing to the club. But Solskjaer deserves more backing, definitely. The way that he's rejuvenated Manchester United, because we are unbeaten in the league since January. We are unbeaten in our last 14 league games. Don't forget, we went on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions until Chelsea had beaten us in the FA Cup semi-final. And I've definitely seen improvements under Solskjaer. Like I said, our recruitment's improved under him. He's got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended into Man United. He's also promoted the youth very, very well. I think there's definitely players that have improved under him. Martial really improved under him. Martial's had 2 good seasons out of the 5 years he's been at Man United. Good last season under Solskjaer and good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal era. We paid £36 million for Martial from Monaco in 2015. Martial obviously now plays as our number 9. But it's not his predominant position, but he looks very, very effective in that central position. So hopefully he can continue his good vein of form this season. I think Rashford's really, really improved under him. Rashford just recently recovered from an ankle injury. He did miss both of England's game in the Nations League. He also had a back injury for us last season. That kept him out for a few months. But Rashford, I think, has been at Man United now for like 15 years. So he's been part of the club for several years. We know now that Rashford does play on that left-hand side. Got to say, Greenwood flourished under Solskjaer last season. I think last season was Mason Greenwood's first full season in the senior squad. Don't forget, he recently got given the number 11 shirt, did Mason Greenwood. He's going to become the 4th player to wear the number 11 for Man United. I think he's also apologised for what he's done recently. And I think Solskjaer's set to hold private talks with Mason Greenwood over his personal life. Mason Greenwood has got a contract with us till 2023, but the vast majority of last season, a lot of Greenwood's appearances come from the bench. But towards the end of last season, he was getting a lot of starts. Brandon Williams, he really, really impressed me last season. Last season was Williams' first full season in the senior squad. He's obviously not our backup left back to Luke Shaw, but I think Williams needs to get more experience first before we even consider putting him as our first choice left back. He's actually predominantly a right-footed player, so some people say he'd look better on the right-hand side, but obviously we can't because Wan-Bissaka is our first choice right back. I've got to also say that Fred and McTominay and Matic have all really improved under Solskjaer. Pogba did well towards the end of last season. I think the signings that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's made have done very, very well. Solskjaer's obviously spent over £200 million at Manchester United so far. He's brought 6 senior players in, obviously made 5 permanent signings and got Igalo on loan. And he's also brought a few academy players into the football club. So it's good that more young players are coming in, and there's a lot of good young players coming through at Manchester United. I think Luke Shaw's done well under him as well. The only thing with Luke Shaw, he's got to improve his fitness. Bale, he's also got to improve his fitness at the club because he's far too injury prone. I think Bale will remain at Man United at least for another season. Lindelof, he has improved, but there's still aspects of his game that I've got to improve. I think he'll be at Man United at least for another season, even if he was to sign a centre half. Juan Mata, I think he'll stay at the football club for at least another season. I think Juan Mata's enjoyed a fantastic career with Manchester United. He has enjoyed like 6 years at the club. Got him from Chelsea back in 2014 for just under £40 million. Doesn't get a lot of starts now, but when he does, he makes a fantastic impact. So we've actually got a good squad. There's just key areas where Manchester United are lacking, but you can see that Solsjaer's trying to change the culture of the club. You really can see what he is doing. But like I've said, this season is the big test for Solskjaer because obviously, this season is his second full season at the football club. And it's very, very imperative that we do have a strong start to this season. And obviously Solskjaer's got to exceed his expectations this season. If we're not to make any more signings in this summer transfer window, then I think our expectations this season probably will be to finish in the top 4, like that expectation was at the start of last season. And I think the other expectation will be to win a trophy, because we've not yet won out in terms of silverware under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. But if we had to make 2 more signings, maybe 3, then we'll be expected to challenge for the Premier League title this season. Now, don't forget, we are the most successful team in Premier League history because we have won 20 titles and 13 of them are Premier Leagues, but we have not won the Premier League since 2013, and we've not mounted any title challenge up in the last 7 years. So that just indicates how inconsistent we have been. In the last 7 years, we've had different managers with different philosophies. 3 managers have been sacked since the Ferguson era. We obviously sacked Moyes after 8 or 9 months. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite winning the FA Cup under him. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite winning the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season. And obviously, we've recruited over 30-odd players in since the Alex Ferguson era. And we spent close to the £1 billion range on them. So Manchester United have actually not spent a lot of money. But I always said, didn't I, that Solskjaer needs another season at Man United because it is a transition period and it has been a transition period for a while. Now, if things were to go wrong this season, then maybe Solskjaer will be back under pressure at the football club, because the first part of last season, don't forget, we enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season. At that point, Solskjaer was so close to getting sacked as Manchester United manager. He really, really was. Obviously, Crystal Palace on Saturday. It's our first game of the Premier League season. I recently give you my predictions for that game. I do think Manchester United are going to win it. I think we will win by 3-1. The game against Crystal Palace last season at Old Trafford was 2-1 to Palace, and that was Palace's first victory at Old Trafford in the Premier League since 1989. So that is 31 years ago, but we did win the game at Selhurst Park last season by 2-0. Crystal Palace won their opening game against Southampton by 1-0. Palace have got some good players in their team. Obviously, they've got the likes of Wilfred Zaha, who's a former Man United player. They've got, is Andy Townsend still playing for them? I know they've got Christian Benteke. They've got Patrick Van Aanholt as well. He's another player Crystal Palace have got. So they have got some good players. Roy Hodgson's their current manager. Roy Hodgson's managed around 16 clubs, has he? I can't remember every single one. I know he's now at Palace. He's managed Fulham, Liverpool and West Brom. He's managed Blackburn before. He's managed Inter Milan. He's managed Underneath. He's managed Grasshoppers. I think at one point when he was a lot younger, he was managing at Bristol City, was he? So yeah, he has managed so many clubs. But it's very imperative that we do win the game on Saturday against Crystal Palace. Brighton is after Crystal Palace. You know, that's another game that Manchester United should win. But if we are to do well this season, then I think there'll be more Man United fans that will believe Solskjaer's the right manager and he's the foreseeable future for the club. And we could even possibly extend his contract. Now, when Solskjaer was the interim manager, obviously we did very, very well. You know, that was the main explanation why I got the job permanently. But there was a lot of Man United fans saying, you know, we did give Solskjaer the job too early. You know, we should have waited a bit longer at least. But I want his managerial tenure to work out because at the end of the day, he's a club legend and he was a great player for the football club for 11 years. He flourished under Ferguson's guidance and that. And Solskjaer hasn't got a fantastic pedigree behind him, but, you know, flexing how long he's been with us now, he has got that managerial experience behind him because Man United is the third club in his managerial career. Hasn't won much in terms of silverware. You know, when he managed our reserve team, won a couple of trophies, won a few Norwegian titles at Molde. But yeah. So, like I said regarding Sergio Reguilon, he could be our second signing in this summer transfer window because we're close to getting him. You know, we could be now getting Bale on loan. You know, Jack Grealish, he still remains on our agenda. Dayot Upamecano from Leipzig, we're planning to get him next summer. So, we shall see. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.